gonna ask about that. I was gonna ask about that too, because when it says, of course, the prophecy about the circumcision covenant and everything about the nation,
Yeah.
great nation, why could that, like, how is that for sure the Arabs? Like, why can it? Because I could
Well,
even
first,
argue it could be
well, first,
Abyssinians, because I mean,
well,
we
because,
we're in
because
touch with.
your book says they're Arabs. We just read it. It says the sons of
Wait, hold
Ishmael.
on, one more time.
Here, let me just make it bigger. Here. This Ishmael and his sons, the sons of Keturah and their sons, went together, dwelt from Paran to the entering in of Babylon, in all of the land which is towards the east, facing the desert. And these mingled with each other, and their name was called Arabs and Ishmaelites. So Ishmaelites are Arabs.
Okay.
Not only that, but we have inscriptions that are from the time of the Babylonian Empire, telling us that the Kedarites, Kedar, who is basically that's the leading son of Ishmael. Ishmael had 12 sons. One of them was Kedar. Kedar was basically the biggest tribe, the authority tribe. Okay, we have inscriptions from Babylon telling us that the Kedarites are Arabs, and calls the Kedarites Arabs. We have passages from Isaiah, I believe chapter 21, that associates Kedarites with Arabs, a prophecy against Arabia. As a matter of fact, I have a whole thing on this on my Discord. We could go through them quick times. Let me share my screen. Yeah, I gathered all supporting evidence for this. I could just give it to you now, and all the people watching maybe can benefit too. Let me just open the Discord. All right, here. So let's make this bigger. So we have Josephus. You know Josephus?
Yeah.
So he's from the 1st century. Antiquities of the Jews 1.214. He says, now in a little time, Abraham had a son by Sarah, as God had foretold to him, whom he named Isaac, which signifies laughter. And indeed, they so called him because Sarah laughed when God said that she would bear a son. She not expecting such a thing as being past of the age of childbearing, for she was 90 years old, and Abraham was 100, so that this son was born to them, both in the last year of each of those decimal numbers. And they circumcised him upon the 8th day. And from that time, the Jews continued the custom of circumcising their sons within the number of days. But as for the Arabians, they circumcised after the 13th year, because Ishmael, the founder of their nation, who was born to Abraham of the concubine, was circumcised at that age, concerning whom I will presently give a particular account with great exactness. So Josephus tells us. Yeah.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead, man.
Oh, okay. So basically, Josephus is saying they were circumcising just ever since the time of Ishmael, like even before Islam, basically.
Yeah. So pagan Arabs had a tradition of circumcision at the year of 12, at the 12th year, because Ishmael was circumcised at the age of 12. So they carried this tradition from their forefathers. So even pre-Islamic Arabs circumcised.
So the thing is, they kept the circumcision, but so they didn't have to follow like the laws of the Torah or anything like that.
No, they fell away. So they fell away from the religion of their forefathers, and they became idolaters, and they worshipped Allah, the one true God, but they worshipped 365 idols. A lot of the traditions that the pre-Islamic Arabs had are true traditions that they still had, but they deviated and they went away from God. And basically, in the Bible, their story ends at Genesis 17.
Okay. So
they
basically,
go astray.
Yeah. So the thing is, now what you're saying with Islam is that
they became a great nation.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, why would it not just be for the Ishmaelites though? Like, how would it be for other people? Why would it not just be like the Jews had Judaism? And
wait, I don't understand your question.
Because you're saying it like the prophecy is that Ishmael would be a great nation, not Ishmael would. You know what I'm saying? Like it seems like it will be prophesying Islam is just for Ishmaelites. You know?
No,
that's what it kind of sounds like.
No, God calls Israel a great nation, but salvation wasn't just for Israel, insofar as other people could convert and become part of Israel, or they could become Noahides, for example. But just because Ishmael becomes a great nation, it doesn't mean that Islam is only for Ishmael. Ishmael becomes a great nation because they were the ones who received Islam first and spread Islam. Okay, that's how they became a great nation. Okay, so extra evidence we have. So Isaiah 21, this is from the year 720 BC. Kedar and Tema, who are sons of Ishmael, are associated with Arabia. The Hebrew says in verse 13, a prophecy against Arabia. You caravans of Dedanites who camp in the thickets of Arabia, bring water to the thirsty. You who live in Tema, bring food for the fugitives. They flee from the sword, from the drawn sword, from the bent bow, and from the heat of the battle. This is what the Lord says to me. Within 1 year, as a servant bound by contract will count it, all the splendor of Kedar will come to an end. The survivors of the archers, the warriors of Kedar, will be few. So, Kedarites, Tema, sons of Ishmael, are associated with Arabia. And actually, what's funny about that is that the Arabs have a tradition in archery because Ishmael was an archer. They get this from Ishmael. Okay, that's why it says here, it says the archers, the warriors of Kedar. That's what they were known for. That's what the Arabs were known for. And this is connected to Ishmael. Now, here's what I'm talking about. This is the inscription, the Annals of Ashur ben Apal. Okay, this is from 660 BC. Okay, look what it says. It says, from Asalat to the city of Koresiti, stretch of parched and thirsty desert, they continued their march. The tribe of Atar Samain, and the Kedarites of Utai, the son of Berdada, the king of Arabia. I surrounded his gods, his mother, his sister. So this is basically a Babylonian king bragging about how he attacked the Kedarites, the Arabians in Arabia. Kedarites are
Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, doesn't it says as well, Babylon was a great nation. When it says, I forgot which verse in the Bible was talking about how Babylon was a great nation as well.
It calls pagan nations great nations. Yes.
Yeah. So doesn't that kind of like refute?
No, because the context is that in verse 18 here, we could pull it up here. If we go to Genesis 17, 18. Okay, this is where it all starts. Okay, verse 18. Look, and Abraham said to God, if only Ishmael might live under your blessing. In Hebrew, it doesn't say that. Rashi says, if only Ishmael might live before your face. Which means if Ishmael might also be obedient to you. Abraham is asking that Ishmael be an obedient nation. Do you think our father Abraham wants Ishmael, his progeny, the nation that comes from him, to be a great nation that is an idol-worshipping nation that is numerous? Or does he want them to be a great nation, a nation that worships God?
No, of course, we want them to
Abraham, who is upright and righteous, wants his son Ishmael to have a nation that worships God. That's why he asks, oh, that Ishmael may live before your face. God responds in verse 20, and he says, as for Ishmael, I have heard you, Abraham. I will surely bless him. I will make him fruitful. Will greatly increase his numbers. He'll be the father of 12 rulers, and I will make him into a great nation. So he says yes. He responds to his prayer, his dua, his supplication. He says, yes, Abraham, I heard you. I'm going to make him a great nation. Abraham was asking for a great nation that worships God. That's where, in the context, our understanding comes from Deuteronomy chapter 4. What is a great nation according to the Torah? According to Moses. He says, look, verse 5. See, I have taught you decrees and laws as the Lord my God commanded me, so that you may follow him in the land you are entering to take possession of it. Observe them carefully, for this will show your wisdom and understanding to the nations, who will hear about all these decrees, he's talking about the Torah, and say, surely this nation is a wise and understanding people. What other nation is so great as to have their gods near them, the way the Lord our God is near us whenever we pray to him? And what other nation is so great as to have righteous decrees and laws as this body of laws I'm setting before you today? According to Moses, a great nation is a nation that is near to God, and God is near this nation, obedient nation, and has a body of laws and decrees that it is abiding by. according to the Torah. This is a great nation in the context of what our father Abraham is asking God to make Ishmael.
Interesting. Yeah. So I guess I mean, talking about Islam, like the like how could you say like how could you say like Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, is he like how is he a prophet if he didn't have any miracles? Like, and he's only mentioned like a few times in the
Who said
Quran
he
and
didn't
stuff,
have miracles?
right? I mean, maybe I'm saying something wrong, but
Actually, you know what's funny? Al-Imam al-Bayhaqi, he's one of the great scholars of Islam. He has a book. It's called Dalailun Nubuwah, the proofs for the prophethood, about the Prophet Muhammad. He records 1,200 miracles of the Prophet. These are all from our tradition and from our corpus. We have massively attested to miracles. For every miracle you give me of Jesus, which in the Gospels is not above 35, maybe 30, maybe less, around there. Jesus does about 30 something miracles throughout his ministry.
I mean, like, but Jesus, like we're talking about like reviving the dead,
Okay,
he's
that's
had
fine.
like powerful miracles,
That's fine. The Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, he healed the blind. He multiplied food. He split the moon. Moses split the sea. The Prophet split the moon. He threw a stick in battle and it turned into a sword. We have narrations where inanimate objects speak to him. We have we could keep going and going and go. He made water gush out of his hands. During the battle of Badr, the first battle of Islam, where the Muslims were outnumbered 10 times. They were about 313, and the enemies were, I think, was it 1,000? I think, not 10 times. Sorry. So they were outnumbered. The Muslims, they said after the fact, they narrate. They said, as we are in the heat of the battle, we look to our right and we look to our left, and we see angels fighting with us. We didn't know what the hell was going on. We had angels fighting with us. And these are just simple ones that I'm telling you off the top of my head. And let alone the prophecies that are detailed to the T. Not just vague, the Euphrates River will dry up, although that is one. But not vague prophecy. In the future, there will be crime. Not like that. The Prophet Muhammad, the prophecies that he has are detailed, impossible to make. For example, and I mentioned this earlier to the guy before you actually, the Prophet Muhammad said, there will be a people of Asian descent with broad faces, small eyes. They will come attack the Muslims and sack the capital of the Muslims, and that city will be the capital of the Muslims at the time, and its residents will be numerous. One group will flee into the desert and die. One group will stay behind and fight and die, and so on and so forth.
Is that like the Mongol Empire, the Seljuk Turks?
And guess what? The Mongols in the year in the 1200s, they sack Baghdad. Remember, Baghdad hadn't even existed as a city in the time of the Prophet. Baghdad was the capital of the Muslims, just as the Prophet said, just 600 years before that. The Prophet said its people will be numerous. At that time, Baghdad had it was a city with the most human population in one city. It was above 1 million.
Okay.
Its people will be numerous. Broad faces, small eyes. That's exactly how the Mongols looked, of Asian descent. The Mongols were of Asian descent. One group will flee into the desert and die. That's what happened. One group will stay behind and will be martyred, and that's what happened. Very, very, very specific, very detailed. And so many more, like the one about the Roman Empire, the Byzantines, being weakened by the Persians so much that they lost all their land and they only had Constantinople. That's it. They were about to fall. This is in the Byzantine-Persian wars. They were about to fall. That's it. The Prophet Muhammad says, or he receives a revelation in the Quran, it's called Surah Al-Rum, the chapter of Rome. He says, غُلِبَتُ الرُّوم. Rome has been defeated. And within 3 to 9 years, they will again be victorious in a nearby land. In the 7th year from that prophecy taking place, the Romans somehow, the Byzantines somehow, they rose back up to power and they defeated the Persians so much that the Persian emperor himself was killed by his own son. And
Okay,
somehow
that's
they came back
interesting.
and were
Yeah.
victorious. And historians say that this is the greatest comeback of history. This is the greatest comeback of. Actually, there was a YouTube video posted recently from these history channels saying the title is "The Greatest Comeback in History," and it's this
Okay.
exact circumstance. If the prophet had been guessing or trying to make an educated guess with his prophethood on the line, then he would have said, "Yeah, the Persians are going to take over." Well, that's what it looked like. But no, he said the complete opposite, the very unexpected result that nobody was looking at. He also says that the Bedouin barefoot Arabs will compete in building the tallest buildings.
Yeah, the
This is a
first Khalifa,
phenomenon.
yeah.
This is a phenomenon that only takes place 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
It says that the Arabian desert, in the end times, he said the Arabian desert will spit out treasures so much that the people will be so rich because of it. What was the discovery in the desert, in the Arabian desert? Oil.
Oil, yeah.
That the earth spit out treasures. How does he know that? The prophet says in the end times, Arabia will return to being green with rivers. Hold on a second. What do you mean return? Are you saying that once it was green and now it became a desert? How did he know that? Well, we recently discovered that actually a long time ago, the Arabian Peninsula, the desert, that area of the Middle East was actually green, like Iceland.
It's not like, I mean, obviously that prophecy is still, I guess, pending, right? Because it's still
no, it's pending. But I'm talking about. He says once again it will return.
Okay, without a specific time or
That's
anything.
the point. Yeah,
Okay.
He says once again, meaning that it was that way one time. How did he know that it was that way one time? Where'd you get that from? That once upon a time, the Arabian Peninsula was green with trees everywhere, with grass. And by the way, it's happening. It's becoming that way again.
Okay.
This is just tiny. These are small things. Very, very small, tiny things. I'm just saying the things that are found, and this is the dilemma of Christians and Jews. If you're a Christian, because Jesus, it's massively attested that there was a man called Jesus, he did miracles, and he had a miraculous birth, and he had a miraculous death. And that's massively attested. It's corroborated by so many people, and that's why you believe it. And the Jews are Jews because it's so massively attested that once upon a time, God spoke to their ancestors on Sinai and gave them the Torah. And that's why they believe. If that's your standard, then you have to become Muslim because it's massively attested that the Prophet Muhammad did everything that Muslims claim that he did. Even more so with connected chains, with connected historical evidence, more so than the Christians and the Jews have. So if that's your criteria of belief, then that criteria is satisfied by Islam, then hence you have to become a Muslim. But because you don't become a Muslim, then you're being inconsistent. Why do you believe in Jesus? You're saying, well, many people say that he died on the cross. He had some kind of miraculous birth. We agree. He had a miraculous death.
I would say Jesus is like his basically his teachings, his prophecies, and especially his miracles, I would say probably would be
okay. And you know, and the most important thing is that he had a miraculous death, right?
Yes, yeah, that would.
And you know that, like, and you know that how? Because it's massively attested. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Good.
From secular and Christian. Yeah.
Good. We agree. The Quran says he had a miraculous death. He didn't actually die, but it looked like it, and there was something miraculous about the event. So we could agree.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's another question. I would say. So I know you guys say that it's basically because people believe that there was a resurrection. It doesn't defeat the Quran. It just says basically that it was only made to appear so. So basically, is it like you guys are saying like Allah is playing a trick, or?
No, he's not playing a trick. He made the Jews believe that they unalived the Messiah to mock them, because they were mocking him, so God mocked them back, and he made them think that they unalived the Messiah, but really, He saved the Messiah and he raised him up to himself and saved him. However, it doesn't follow that because Jesus looked like he died, that Christianity is true. Because we believe that the Muslim followers of Christ might have believed that he died. That didn't change their Islam. It didn't change the moral, ethical teachings of Jesus. It didn't change the theological teachings of Jesus. It didn't change the prophetic teaching of Jesus. Whether he died or looked like he died did not change the religion that Christ brought.
Okay, so you're saying basically that whether he was resurrected or not, no one should have called him God. I see your point.
Because
But
him
also,
dying and rising doesn't make him God.
yeah, I see your point there. But what about like certain laws that he brought? Like he made it explicitly clear, like we cannot have divorce. But I know in Islam you're allowed to divorce.
That's not necessarily true, because the Eastern Orthodox Church says that no, it's not a prohibition, it's just disliked, that you shouldn't do it unless in extreme circumstances.
Well, they're upon falsehood. I mean, I don't agree with
that.
that.
That's fine, but I'm saying prophets, let's say that was true, Jesus said or prohibited divorce, we don't have a problem. Because prophets could abrogate the laws with the permission of God.
Okay, I see. So you're saying basically what happened was Moses. So when Moses said it was allowed,
Moses allowed
and then
divorce.
Jesus abrogated it.
My opinion is that Jesus said that divorce is extremely disliked, not that he completely prohibited it, because that's counterintuitive. But even if you take the position that he completely prohibited it, that's fine, because God has the authority to nullify laws or to change laws. That's exactly what you believe. You believe Jesus came and he changed the law of Moses.
Yeah, well, because I would say like maybe you could say for that, like Moses basically made a temporary change in a sense, like it was.
Well, it's not a temporary change. Well, the Deuteronomy says you could divorce, you could remarry as many as you want. Woman could remarry, is no problem. Jesus says no, woman can't remarry. If she remarries, she commits adultery.
Okay. Yeah. So
the Quran abrogates what came before it, just like the gospel abrogates what came before it.
Okay. So I guess going back to some of the stuff, for me, the polygamy that Muhammad did is not. I don't find that to be like something that's like, oh, it's super wrong, because obviously that's done by the previous prophets as well. But the thing, okay, so the thing about Aisha being like 6 years old, so how can you defend that kind of like,
Well, you have to understand the context, the historical context. You have to understand the historical context. Okay, her being 6 and 9 then is not like a 6 and 9 year old you think of today. Okay, now let me ask you, why did the prophet married her at 6, meaning that he contracted her at 6? Yes.
Yeah, betrothed, right?
Why did he wait until 9? If he really, as some would have it, had ill intent, he wanted to sleep with a kid, why did he wait until 9? For what? What was he waiting for?
That's a good point. I'm not quite sure.
Well, the Hadith tells us he was waiting for her to be physically ready for marriage, for intercourse. Okay, that's what it means.
So how, but like that to me is like how would she be ready at 9?
What do you mean? How would she be ready at 9?
Like wouldn't she have still been? She still have been a child.
No, that's an assertion. You'd have to prove that. We're
saying, are you saying she had like was she like a part of like some prophecy or something? Like she was supposed to have like increased like development or something, or was she a regular person?
No, she's a regular human.
So I mean, I'm pretty sure like a regular girl would not be ready at 9, right?
Well, it depends on the factors, and it depends on what time of or the timeline we're talking. Today, it's not. You don't see it, right? Back then, maybe. I mean, you have Thomas Aquinas, who says in the medieval period that a woman is the set age of marriage. You know Thomas Aquinas, right?
Yeah, no, he's we don't take him. He's not.
No, I
He's a
understand. I
heretic.
understand.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you take him. I'm saying
Mhm.
even within Christian thoughts, because this is not theological. Okay, this is not about the filioque or the natures of Christ. I'm saying within Christendom, right? You have as early as Augustine. You have as early as what's his name, man? Tertullian. You have Thomas Aquinas, who say things like this. Who say that Thomas Aquinas says that a woman, her age of marriage is 12, a man is 14, and he says in the Summa Theologia, he says that if a woman meets the criteria of marriage before 12, then she could be married before 12. Okay,
So you're saying she was basically a rare case, like she was
it's
ready.
whether rare case or not, I can't speak on that. I'm not a biologist. I'm saying Islam gives a criteria. If this criteria is met, meaning that the woman has consent, she's marriageable, she's mentally ready, she knows what is good for her, what is bad for her, she can differentiate between good and bad, she's mentally there, and she's physically there, then if these criteria are met, she's marriageable. If this is met at 20, then it's met at 20. Do you understand?
Okay.
But
I don't know why people are saying that it was the age of consent was 7 in the U.S. in 1800. There's no shot that's true.
No, it was. That's true.
No shot. Actually,
no, I promise you. In the UK, in the US,
wait a second.
That's true. But I don't bring that up. You want to know why? Because it doesn't matter what the age of consent was in freaking medieval England. I don't care. That doesn't matter.
God.
Right?
Yeah, it was in Delaware.
Right. The point is, okay, that within the Abrahamic tradition, there is a criteria. If a female meets the criteria, she's marriageable. This is in the Torah. This is in the Quran. That's it. The Prophet Muhammad, how many wives did he have? During his lifetime, he had 11.
11? Okay. I mean, for me, I don't have a problem with the.
No, I understand.
That's already
I know. That's not the point I'm making. He had 11 during his lifetime. 9 at one time. Okay. So at one time, he had 9 together. Okay, at the same time. Out of all his wives, how many of them were young virgins?
Maybe like half, or
just one. Aisha.
Just Aisha. Okay. Well, how old were the other ones when he married them?
Some were older. Some were in their 60s, in their 50s, widows, previously married. His first wife was older than him, Khadija. So the point is, we could clearly see if intent is lust, I want to marry young virgins, we would have seen it, but that's not the case. The Prophet only married one young virgin, and she was Aisha, and he had no kids from her. So he contracted her at 6, and there was a waiting period until 9. He could have just done whatever he wanted at 6, but no, there was a waiting period until 9. There's a reason for that. Okay, so when we look at that image, we see that the allegations that there is some ill intent there is nowhere to be the case. It's a modern apologetic talking point against Islam, because Islam is so strong theologically, rationally, ethically, that they must find a flaw in the Prophet's perfect moral character, and there isn't. There isn't a single flaw in the Prophet's moral character. The Prophet, there's a reason he's the best of God's creation in our paradigm, and he's the moral example. And
wait, hold on. How is he the best of God's creation? Like, wait. So if you guys believe Jesus is created, so if Jesus never sinned, why would he not be the best?
Well, we don't believe any prophet sins. When we say sin, we're talking about major sins. Prophets can have shortcomings, minor mistakes, okay? But prophets don't sin, meaning intentionally displease God. A prophet can never intentionally do something to displease God. It's not befitting of a prophet.
So for Solomon, when he he did sorcery, like that's
we don't believe
major
that.
sin.
Actually, you know what's funny? You want to know what's funny? The Quran says, وَمَا كَفَرَ سُلَيْمَانُ وَلَكِنَّ الشَّيَاطِينَ كَفَرُوا. Allah frees Solomon from this allegation in the Quran. Why? He says, Solomon indeed did not disbelieve. Rather, it was the devil that brought down the magic that disbelieved. Solomon never disbelieved. We know why there's slander against Solomon and David, because also David, it says that he slept, he had illegal intercourse with Bathsheba, and he had a kid from her. Yes?
Yeah. Oh, Dawood. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
We also reject this. And I know why this slander exists. Because Israel divided into the northern kingdom, with the leading tribe being Ephraim, and the southern kingdom with the leading tribe being Judah, and the lineage of David, the Davidic lineage. Ephraim and the southern kingdom did not get along. They hated each other. So the Israelites of the northern kingdom would have had no problem slandering the Davidic lineage, David and Solomon, saying that they went against God and they did sorcery, and apparently Solomon, being the wisest man alive, somehow falls into idolatry and disbelief and builds a pagan temple. I mean, what kind of nonsense is that? You're telling me the wisest man alive ended up disbelieving in God?
Yeah. Okay. So what you're saying is all the prophets didn't do any sins.
So you define sin differently. We define sin in respect to the prophets.
Like, okay, for example,
intentionally disobeying God to displease him. The prophets never did that. However, the prophets had shortcomings. And
what about when Moses? Oh, sorry.
There's an opinion that Jesus and John the Baptist completely were sinless, free of sin. They never made any mistakes or anything like that. But that doesn't make them greater, because the virtue that makes the Prophet Muhammad the best of God's creation isn't tested if he had minor shortcomings or if the other one didn't. It's not what makes another one greater over the other.
Okay, so Musa, like, do y'all believe like Musa, he murdered the Egyptian guy, or he didn't murder him, but
he was defending an Israelite and accidentally, not knowing his power, in self-defense, he punched and he unalived. He didn't do that to displease God, nor did he intend to do that. He underestimated his strength, and it was in self-defense.
Okay, so yeah, I see what you mean. So with all the prophets being sinless, I guess that would
all the prophets, because they're moral guides. God doesn't pick an adulterer to be our moral guide, or a drunkard to be our moral guide, or a major sinner, or somebody who displeases God. It's not befitting. God picks the best of people, and the best of people are the prophets. After them are the companions of the prophets. After them are the scholars and the righteous.
Okay, so I guess I have a question. I saw this David Wood video recently about. Are you familiar with the story?
The night of the Jinn?
Yeah, exactly. That where he was. I don't want to be disrespectful.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. This is how you know Christian apologetics is at a very, very desperate place. It's the most perverted misinterpretation. The night of the Jinn is when the prophets went into the desert to recite the Quran to the Jinn, for the Jinn to hear the Quran and to hear the message. Just as humanity has been preached the Quran, the Jinn, being free-willed beings and creatures, because we don't believe all Jinn are bad and demons and satanic. Jinn are good and bad. Satan and his legion are bad Jinn, but there are good Jinn, creatures of God who worship God. Okay, so just as the Jinn heard the Torah, the Jinn are now to hear the Quran. The Prophet goes and Ibn Mas'ud is with him, although some have deemed this to be weak, because in another narration Ibn Mas'ud says, I wasn't with him. Besides the point, let's say Ibn Mas'ud, the one who narrates this, was with him. We have other narrations, several from the same person that narrates this hadith, who gives more detail. He says that I was with the Prophet going into the desert. He drew a line and he told me not to cross it. Then he went. And he says in several narrations that the Prophet was reciting to Jinn. And when he uses the word that David is stuck on, rakaba is the root word, to ride. or to climb.
Yeah, that was
Okay?
like what I was thinking. It was like, whoa,
Yeah,
this is
the
interesting.
Quran tells us, and Ibn Mas'ud tells us himself, the very person he's getting this, the very companion tells us what that means, that they were crowding against each other to the point where one is over the other trying to hear the Quran. He's reciting the Quran, they're crowding against each other listening to the Quran. And the Quran has verses about this saying that the jinn are now hearing something they haven't heard similar to since the time of the Torah.
So it was like a mistranslation, basically.
It's not.
Like
It's not a yeah. So it is a when he says, "Oh, rakaba means they were riding him." Oh, that means sex, bro. What kind of disgusting thing is that? No, when it says they were riding, it means they were crowding around him, one over the other, trying to listen to the Quran.
So I was saying one thing that makes yeah, that makes sense. But one thing was like, there's two things about that I'm still kind of questioning. So he told Ibn Mas'ud, stay behind the line or you're gonna like die. One, and then the second thing is like when he was describing the people of Azut, it was like they look like black, big black, you know, like they basically a description.
They look like the people of the Zut, right?
Yeah, with like large.
It's no. So he say they're people of the Zut or they look like the people of the Zut? Because if the same Ibn Mas'ud later tells another companion, the jinn resembled the people of the Zut.
Okay, but the thing is like the thing about like the large phallus is like why would that be included in there if it was like not?
It's not included. That's another narration you're talking about.
Oh, it's a different.
You're mixing a different narration. Yeah, you're mixing a different narration that describes the people of the Zut, like the actual tribe.
Okay.
So there's a tribe called the people of the Zut. They're being described in that. But in the story, he's saying the jinn he saw resembled the people of the Zut. It looked like them. It wasn't the people of the Zut.
Okay.
It's the most ridiculous whatever, man. But you get it's like me here. This is what David was doing, okay? Let's give a prime example. Let me just
I don't like the way he was like being disrespectful. That was not good, but I don't know. It seemed like
you know how he is. But here, look here. Here, we could play the same game if we want to misrepresent the text and make it seem sexual and perverted. We could do the same thing. Okay, we could do here. This is the Prophet Elisha raising a dead child back to life. So verse 32. When Elisha came into the house, he saw the child lying dead on his bed. So he went in and shut the door behind the two men and prayed to the Lord. Then he went up and lay on the child, putting his mouth on his mouth, eyes on his eyes, hands on his hands, and he stretched himself upon the flesh of the child and became warm. So I can read this and say, look, wow, is the Prophet Elisha sexually assaulting a little kid? No, it's ridiculous. Obviously, what the Prophet Elisha is doing here, he is bringing this little kid by the power of God back to life.
Yeah, I remember that story, but yeah, I didn't read this.
So we could do the same thing. Say, look, the Prophet Elisha is molesting a kid, but no, this would be taking it out of its context.
Okay, so the context of that. So, oh, by the way, the hadiths, they're not like some could be like fake, some could be true. It's not like the Quran. It's not like 100%.
Yeah, hadith. Is the Prophet Elisha sexually assaulting a little kid? No, it's ridiculous. Obviously, what the Prophet Elisha is doing here, he is bringing this little kid by the power of God back to life.
Yeah, I remember that story, but yeah, I didn't read this.
So we could do the same thing. Say, look, the Prophet Elisha is molesting a kid, but no, this would be taking it out of its context.
Okay, so the context of that. So, oh, by the way, the hadiths, they're not like some could be like fake, some could be true. It's not like the Quran. It's not like 100%.
Yeah, hadith have gradings based on their authenticity using our critical method, our hadith sciences. So some could be authentic, some could be weak, some could be fabricated. But that's why the Islamic system differs from the other system, because we have a methodology that identifies what sayings of the Prophet are true, what sayings of the Prophet are made up, with certainty. With most of hadiths are made up, are weak. You know that, right?
Really? Okay.
Most of them.
Wait, so then why would you read like?
Because we have authentic compilations. Al-Bukhari He was a Hadith scholar. He memorized 500,000 narrations, and he authenticated every single narration in his compilation. He authenticated himself using a rigorous methodology. Most of the hadiths he knew and memorized were fabricated, were weak. Some fabricated. But that's why we call it Sahih al-Bukhari. It literally means the correct attribute, or the authentic narrations attributed to Bukhari. Because he compiled these authentic narrations according to this rigorous methodology. Same with Muslim, Sahih Muslim. The authentic compilation attributed to Muslim, Imam Muslim. He did the same thing. That's why when somebody pulls up a narration Bukhari, it doesn't even have a grading because it's already authentic. It's in Bukhari. Everything in there is authentic. But if we go to Musnad Imam Ahmad, for example, another hadith compilation, each hadith will have a grading because some of them in the Musnad are authentic, some of them are weak, some of them are, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it was not in one of the Sahih books. It was in some.
I'm pretty sure I think it's in Musnad Imam Ahmad. But yeah, so you get the point. That we have a rigor. Imagine we had such a methodology to the sayings of Christ, and we had a chain of narration for each word that Jesus said back to him, back to his mouth. Jesus told him, who told him, who told him, who told him, who told him. Now we have a chain. Now, in order for this chain to be authentic, we have to go, do we have the biography of each person in this chain? Do we know them? Do we know them to be reliable? Do we know them to have good memory? Do we know them to be pious? Do we know them to be thieves? Do we know them to be liars? We apply the rigorous methodology to each person in the chain.
Okay.
You understand? Imagine we had that. It'll be different. But that's why the Islamic paradigm is powerful, because we do have that. Our tradition is so preserved that no deviance can enter it. No newly invented matters, innovations could creep inside. That's why if you go to a Muslim from the first century of Islam, he'll say exactly what I say and believe exactly what I believe and speak the way I speak. If you go to a first century Christian, he's not going to know what the hypostatic union is. He's not going to know what homoousios is. He's not going to even believe in the Nicene Trinitarianism. He's not even going to believe in Trinitarianism to begin with.
Yeah. Wait. So okay, I see your point here. Okay, I'll say another thing I have a question about is there's like there was a thing when there's different versions of the Quran. I forgot, it was like
the recitation
and
Hafs,
so
and so forth.
Yeah. So how do you explain that? Like how like isn't that multiple versions?
So, no, it's not. So the Quran was revealed in 7 ahruf. In 7 ahrufs. Okay. All of these go back to the Prophet. Now, you can say the ahrufs are variant readings. Variant readings, but they go back to God. They're not variant readings that develop later. For example, if I'm reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, the opening chapter of the Quran, and I say, Maliki Yawmiddin, talking about God, He is the owner of the Day of Judgment. Another variant will say, Maliki Yawmiddin,
and then that's
He is the king of the Day of Judgment. But the two complement each other, although they have two different meanings. Both apply, and they're both revealed from Allah.
So it's basically like a way.
Right. Allah is Malik, owner, and He is king. And both
so it's like a way of
complement the verse. Now, there are different kind of variants. For example, something that David would like to bring, and one variant, I forgot where it was exactly, but it goes along with, it's along the lines of that God was amazed. And another variant, it says,
I was amazed.
And it says the Prophet was amazed. Yes?
Yeah.
But the meanings complement each other, that both of them were. And both go back to God.
It's like, it's a type of thing where you're saying like each version is conveying like, it's just giving you a little bit more information. Like one version
this is what we call
information. Okay.
So this is a variant reading. These 7, now I'm going to explain the relation between the 7 variant readings and the 10 qira'at. Hafs, Warsh, and so on and so forth. Okay? 7 ahruf, 10 qira'at. 7 variants, 10 readings. For example, these are transmitted readings of the Quran that go back to the Prophet. So Prophet taught this guy, that guy taught this guy, so on and so forth. Then we have until Hafs. Hafs is an individual, he's a person. Okay? So why is the 10? Why are there 10 of them? 10, you could say 10 chains, okay? 10 recitations. Because you could have, for example, somebody learning the Quran based on 2 of the variants of the 7. 2 of the modes. One can learn the Quran based on only 1. One can learn the Quran and he could, in his learning, he could have 4 of the modes. And so these 7 modes, we have 10 readings based on these 7 modes transmitted to us. So for example, Hafs can have 2 variants in his reading. Warsh can have 4 in his reading.
So technically there's 10 versions and like 7 categories, is that what you're saying?
There's 7 modes or variants, 10 recitations transmitted based on the 7 that were revealed.
I'm still a little bit confused about it.
It's a little. I understand. When I was learning it too, it was a little tough to grasp. But if you put it on paper, it makes sense. The Prophet revealed 7 modes or 7 variant readings, and each transmission of the Quran out of the 10 could have could implement 2 of the modes or 3 of the modes. The other guy implements 1 of the modes. The other guy implements all 7, and so on and so forth. And so it works out to 10 transmissions of the Quran that we have based on the 7.
Okay.
So 10 combinations. Somebody said in the comments. That's what I was looking for. 10 Imagine I give you 7 numbers. Okay? That's actually a perfect example. Imagine I give you 7 numbers. Let's 2, 5, 8, 6, 3, 4, and 1. I gave you these numbers.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I want you to make 10 passcodes based on these 7 numbers.
Okay, I see. It makes sense.
You understand?
Yeah.
So 10 combinations, although it's not a perfect analogy, but it's just to help you understand. 10 combinations of the 7 modes revealed by God.
And like, so when you're saying you would combine each ahruf, it would be like you read a certain part in one ahruf, and then like in the next part you'd read it in a different ahruf, basically, right?
Yes, exactly. But then it would be the same reading according to the
that would be one. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what it is. So when we say there's one Quran, we're saying qualitatively there's one Quran, meaning Allah revealed these 114 chapters, starting with this chapter, ending with this chapter. Okay. He revealed
that makes sense.
7 modes, 7 or variants. Okay, and the 10 transmitted recitations that we received through the chains of narration transmission are combinations of the 7.
Okay, yeah, that does make sense. Yeah. So I know you've spoken to some Coptics before. I've seen as well, but in Ethiopia there's not much like Muslim Christian beef. It's not like
I know. You guys are a lot more.
I have Muslim family, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
I think it was
my grandpa. I think my grandpa converted to Christianity. I think when he married my grandma, or something like that. It was because we were all Muslim before, and like right. So
it's time to go back to the roots, brother.
I mean, like I'm trying to see if I have any more questions, because I already have been very like skeptical about like the Trinity, even though like I don't know, like there's like it's like I guess, I mean, obviously, there's one God, but so in Islam, like there's a Quran that has like it's eternal, right?
No,
it's not eternal.
No, who told you it's eternal? Did Sam Shimon tell you it's eternal? You have 2 eternal things. 2 eternal things: eternal Quran that eternally speaks as a person, like that. No, we don't believe the Quran is eternal, man. We believe the Quran is uncreated. It's غير مخلوق. It's not created. Anything in God is uncreated. Nothing in God is created. God's acts are intrinsic to the essence. And so the acts of God cannot be created. When God speaks, that's an act. Right?
Okay.
When God
So you're
speaks,
saying, yeah.
although he doesn't speak eternal, God is not an eternal radio. Doesn't what does that even mean, eternally speaking? God speaks in time, temporally. He speaks, then he stops speaking. Right? He is not always speaking. Right? So when he appears to Moses, he says, I am your Lord. I am the Lord of your forefathers. Then he stops. He began speaking. He stopped speaking. Yes? The speech of God is intrinsic. Anything intrinsic to God is uncreated because it subsists in his uncreated, undivided essence. Okay? However, it's not eternal. It came in time. There's a moment when Allah did not speak the Quran, because Quran just means recitation. The Quran is the speech of Allah. And then he started to speak. And he spoke the Quran. So it's not
so the
created,
Quran was not, yeah.
but it's not eternal.
So the Quran was not there like before, like basically the heavens and the earth were created. No. Okay.
No. The Quran was spoken when it was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam.
Okay. But so it's uncreated. So basically the Torah and the Gospels, they're uncreated as well.
All of the speech of God is uncreated. If the Torah is a speech of God, then the Torah is uncreated. It cannot be created. The speech of God cannot be created. The acts of God cannot be created. It doesn't make sense. For example, God, he creates, yes?
Yes, yeah.
Is that an act?
Yes, yeah.
Can we say he's creating his creating? Or he created his act of creating?
No, he is the creator. That's his
good. So his acts are uncreated because they are intrinsic. They are in God.
So why couldn't you say this about Jesus though? Like I'm trying to see like where
because Jesus is not a mere attribute, an impersonal attribute of God. You believe Jesus is a distinct personal entity with his own attributes. Now you made two gods.
Okay, I see what you're saying here. Because both have the ability to create, so that would make two creators. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Jesus is all-knowing, and he's not the same all-knowing as the Father who is all-knowing. Jesus is all-powerful. He's not the same all-powerful as the Father. There's two all-powerful. There's two all-knowing. There's two creators. There's two sustainers. There's two lords. There's two gods. There can't possibly be one God. And you're not saying Jesus is an attribute of God. Attributes don't have their own ontological status outside of the essence of God. That's like saying my anger is a distinct person from me who I communicate with. What the heck does that mean? My anger is a distinct person. My anger has the human nature. Okay, my anger is another human. So it's not my anger anymore. Right? It's not an attribute anymore.
Interesting. Yeah, it wouldn't. Oh.
When you see the word of God, what does that even mean?
Word of God would be like, you could say, basically when you say he's the word of God, it's like so in John 1:1, basically when he's saying the word, it's essentially like to attribute that he was eternal. He's co-eternal, basically. That's why kind of that term was used.
Well, no, he cannot possibly be co-eternal because there's a causal relation. Jesus is begotten, right?
Yeah, because I mean God the Father is the true God, and then he begot, eternally begot.
What does that mean? What does eternally begot mean? Eternally begot is just saying I was born at the same time as my mother. Me and my mother are coexistent, but she gave birth to me. Can that ever make sense? As soon as my mother began to exist, I also began to exist, but she gave birth to me. I'm begotten of her. What? Begetting necessitates temporality. Begetting necessitates that you are that there is your cause is prior to you. So Jesus, because he's not the cause of the Trinity, he's not the arche of the Godhead, it's not possible that he's coexistent and co-eternal. That's just gibberish. What does that even mean? How is he caused but eternally? What does that even mean? Causation or begetting or generation, whatever you want to call it, necessitates a priority. That there's something prior, because begetting is an act, and it's a movement. Time is a measurement of movement. There's T1 not begotten yet, T2 begotten. So at T1 you're still unbegotten, you didn't exist. At T2 you're begotten, now you exist. That necessitates that at T1 you still hadn't yet existed. Eternal begetting just sounds like nonsense. And what does it even mean for God to beget? What does that even mean? What does that even
that's
mean?
that's one of the things, like it's one of the, I know you're familiar with, like, oh, it's the mystery of God, you know.
Yeah,
He has
but
mysterious
that's
aspects.
just a cop out to say that I want to confess my creedal statement that I received from my tradition without knowing what it means. That's just a cop out for saying I don't know what I believe in. What's the mystery? You don't even know what it is. What's eternal begetting? What is begetting? Why do we use begetting? Why not creation instead of begetting? Why the word begetting?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, if you say creation, it would be like, okay, yeah, he's just the first of creation. He would
Good.
be.
So what does the word begetting signify? The word begetting signifies a process and an origin. That's how words have meanings. Something begotten goes through a process of begetting and has a point of origin. When you say God is begets, what does that even mean? Because begetting generally is to get with an ontologically like being and produce an offspring together through a process of generation that is usually pregnancy. That's what begetting is.
No. That's, yeah. Obviously, we won't say.
So you can't say that about God. So the meaning of begetting is not true. So why would you use the word if the meaning is not true? That's the argument Allah makes in the Quran. He says, how could God have a son when he has no mate? Christians think that's silly. Is Allah is not all powerful because he needs a mate to have a son? Well, you doofus, how else do you have a son? How else do you beget?
Yeah,
that's
no,
what the very word signifies. Otherwise, why is it a son? Why isn't the Holy Spirit a son then?
So for the Holy Spirit, I mean, that's a different. He what do you call it? He proceeds.
What's the difference?
So that would be a different, like.
What's the difference? What's the difference between begetting and proceeding?
Only thing I can say is that's the mystery of God.
You see?
Yeah.
You can't just say it's a mystery. Why don't we say the son proceeds? We don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
why is it a son? Why is he a son? Is the question. Why is he a son? Why is he a son of God?
I really want to say God can do all things, but
yeah,
you can't say that either.
But listen. If I told you God can do all things, and I asked you, is God fat or skinny? What would you say?
Yeah, no. That's what I'm saying. Like
you say that's gibberish
because he can't.
There's no meaning.
Because he can't create another God. You know? Yeah,
it's a category error. Meaning, fatness and skinniness doesn't apply to the category of God. Just like begetting and having a son does not even apply to the category of God. When we say beget, there's a meaning. Just like when we say fat, there's a meaning. If you strip the meaning from the word, it becomes gibberish, blah, blah, blah. Can God blah, blah, blah? What does that mean? What is that?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense logically.
It doesn't relate to his power. For us to know if God can do something, we must know what he's doing. If we don't know the meaning of what he's doing, then it's just like we don't know. We don't know what you're asking. That's why Allah in Surah Al-Ikhlas,
I've heard that one.
If you read it, it's like a direct refutation of Nicaea. What is Nicaea?
No, I've heard that one.
We believe in one God, the Father Almighty, the Creator of heavens and earth, and we believe in one Lord, Jesus Christ, begotten from the Father before the ages. True God from true God, true light from true light, begotten, not made. Allah says in the Quran, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Say Allah is one God. Allahu Samad. He is self-sufficient, necessary, independent. لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ. He is not begotten, nor does he beget. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Remember how Nicaea says he is homoousios with the Father? What does that mean? It means he is like substance of the, or he is of the same substance of the Father. Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Allah says in the last verse of Surah Al-Ikhlas, وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا. There is nothing like him. Directly refuting every point of Nicaea. He is one. He does not beget, nor is he begotten, and he is not homoousios with anybody. There's nothing like him. There's nobody of ontological likeness to him. So Nicaea is refuted in the Quran because it's nonsense. It doesn't even have any meaning. Not only that, Chalcedon, which you reject,
also, just the first one.
Even your doctrine, it necessitates that that Jesus is part God, because you say that he is of two natures. He's from two natures, but he is one composite nature. He is man and God. Yes.
Yes, he's man and God, and that's his one nature. He doesn't have two natures. He's not two.
Okay. Yeah. Then he is not homoousios with the Father. He is not of the same nature as the Father, because the nature of the Father is just God. Jesus' nature is fully man and fully God, and it's one nature. He is not homoousios with the Father, nor is he homoousios with us.
Yeah, because he has.
How is he of the same nature?
He has one nature. Yeah.
So how is he of the same nature? He can't be.
That's a
because
mystery.
He has a hybrid nature.
That's all I can say. That's a mystery.
That's one.
Yeah.
Two is that when you say he's fully man and fully God, I'm not sure if you like get into the metaphysics of the incarnation, but Coptics or Orientals usually say that the humanity and the divinity are concrete parts of the one hypostasis. That's why you say composed nature.
I mean, the way I was taught was it's just they're one. Do not like separate.
That's nature. That's fine. Yeah. That's fine. But the Orientalists they say that he is composed of two natures into one nature. That composition necessitates parts. He is part man and part God. He's not fully man and fully God. How is he fully man and fully God if he has one composed nature? And how could that even be the case? How could he both be man and God, whether it's two natures or one nature? It's a contradiction. You can't have an all-knowing being that's not all-knowing, can you?
Oh yeah, I remember this. This was another thing that I saw. Yeah, it's like he's veiling his knowledge or something. That was
what does that even mean?
No, I'm just saying that's what my priest said. He said
veiling his knowledge. That's fine. Your priest could say that, but what the heck does it mean to veil knowledge? You either have it or not.
Like he gave it up, like he was hiding it from himself.
Gave it up means either he didn't have it anymore, or he's hiding it, which doesn't even make sense. So what does that mean to give it up? Did he have it or not?
Oh, I mean, because I don't want to say he lost the knowledge.
He can't. Yeah, you can't say that because then he lost his divinity. But that's the dilemma. That's the dilemma. For him to be man, he must have not been all-knowing. He must have been weak. He must. So now it's just a salad. It's just a nothingness. What do you mean all-knowing, not all-knowing? Fully God, and you say he's fully God because of his divine nature. Because of his divinity. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's fully man because of his humanity. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And humanity is not God. Yes.
No. Yeah. Obviously.
So Jesus is fully God and fully not God.
That's again. I just have to. That's a mystery. Like I can't. Like there's not really a way you
can't do this to yourself. You need to listen. Islam is so simple. Worship one Allah, who you call the Father. He is alone, unbegotten, ungenerated, independent, self-sufficient, self-existent. He has no sons, roommates, daughters, children, cousins, wives. He is alone, with no partners whatsoever. He revealed prophets. He revealed the religion. Obey him, worship him alone. And if you worship him alone, believe in all of his prophets, believe in him, single him out in worship, then he will grant you his paradise and you will inherit his paradise. That easy. It's so simple.
Okay.
That's it. That's Islam.
I'm trying to think if there's anything. I'm trying to see if there's any holes I can say about Islam or something. Because we went through a lot of the different things I was thinking about.
Yeah, you could take your time, man.
Oh yeah, okay. So there was I remember there was like a verse in the Quran that said the world was created in 6 days, and then there was another that said it was created in 8 days.
No, so it doesn't say created in 8 days. There's just an addition for the second part. Okay, which adds up to 8 days. But the addition is wrong. Why? Because one verse says Allah created the heavens and earth in 6 days. Yes?
Yes, yeah, we believe
the other verses is are Allah breaking down what he did in each day. In one day he did this, 2 days he did this, which seemingly adds up to 8. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the addition, right. The addition is wrong. You want to know why?
Yeah, I'm intrigued to find out.
I tell you, listen. I went to Ethiopia, to Addis Ababa, I went for 6 days.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I tell you, in 2 days, I went fishing. 2 days, I went camping. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
2 days, I stayed at the hotel. 2 days, I went to the zoo. How many days is that?
That's 8 days.
8 days. If you add it if you add each separate activity for its own day.
Yeah.
But for the 2 days I went fishing, I also went to the zoo.
Okay, so what you're
saying?
So the same
2 days I went fishing are the same 2 days I went to the zoo. So then in total, how many days did I stay in Addis Ababa?
That would be, it would be 6 days.
So that's what it is. The addition is wrong.
Let me think here. Okay, I found another thing. Sorry for the David. This is another David Wood thing, but basically, so when it says that jinns and angels, like angels are created from light, nur, and then jinns are created from fire, and then it would be but every living thing is created from water, is what it said as well. So what would you say for that? Yeah.
Well, what's the contention?
Basically, like, if angels are made out of light and jinns are made out of fire, then how is everything made out of water?
Okay, this just misunderstands the context and misapplies the context. When Allah says every living thing is made out of water, he's talking about something very specific. For example, if I said, or as a prime example in the Gospels, every man has sinned and fallen short of the glory of God.
Yeah.
Is Jesus a man?
Okay, wait. So that one, that's again, like, I feel like you can just say that one's the mystery type thing. Okay, but outside of Jesus, no one else.
Wait.
Everyone else saying.
No, but when it says, okay, good. So then the author has an exception in mind, but he says every, with the exception that's already implied.
So you're saying there was an exception for...
No. When Allah says he created all living things from water, this implies what physically inhabits the earth, including the earth.
Don't jinn? I thought jinn live on the earth too.
Are they physical beings?
Technically, I guess you could say no, unless, can't they materialize?
Well, there's a difference between material and well, it depends on how you define it. But you know what I mean when I say physical. Do they physically inhabit the earth?
I guess no, they don't really exactly.
No. So then it's exactly like saying, another example, Jesus saying that John the Baptist is the greatest prophet born of woman.
Mm-hmm.
Was Jesus born of a woman?
I mean, is he? Well, would you say he's a prophet though?
He says he's a prophet, and Peter calls him a prophet in Acts chapter 3. So then, would you suggest that Jesus is saying that John the Baptist is greater than him?
No.
Right. So then there is an implied exception, and then the general statement made.
Okay. So so would it be also one of the things, like you were saying before, would it be a thing that like a jinn was made from fire and water, like kind of with the same thing you were saying about the 6 and 8 days? Like a jinn is like made out of fire and water, and then the angel is made out of water and light or something? Would it be something like that?
No, that's not how I answered you. But if somebody,
no, I'm saying like, is that another possibility or something? Okay.
Yeah, if somebody wants to say that, then I don't see the issue. How would you know what jinns are made of, or the components that make up jinn anyway?
Okay.
So that's another route you could take, but that's
It's
my
yeah.
that's my understanding reading the verse on face value.
All right. Show me where Muhammad is in the Bible and the Torah. If you can answer that, I think I'll have answers for
Well, we could go back to what we talked about earlier. Genesis 17. Who's that about?
Okay, well that is about the Arabs. I mean, like specifically about him.
Okay,
You know?
but that is specifically about him. Who's how? By the way, it's like 50 degrees in here. What? How did the Ishmaelites become a great nation?
Yeah, I guess you were saying with the advent of
No, but
Islam.
you tell me. You tell me. But you give me maybe another. How did they become a great nation that worships God, following a body of laws and commands?
I guess I mean, if you're saying like they were not Jewish previously, they were not Jewish before, right?
No, they were
No,
the majority of the Arabs. There was some small, very tiny Arab tribes that are Christian. Some probably converted to Judaism with the presence of Jewish tribes, but no, the majority of Arabs in the peninsula were pagans who worshiped 365 gods.
Yeah, I guess I mean, well, yeah, it would be the only time they worship one God would be, I guess, if you're saying like with Allah.
The prophet. So then, would you say then that the Prophet Muhammad is prophesied to come in Genesis 17 and make the Arabs a great nation by giving them a law and revelation from God?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. And then
that's a concession right there. But I mean, we can go with several other passages.
What about okay then? Okay. So if it's there, okay, that will satisfy for the Torah. What about the Injil?
Matthew chapter 22.
Hold up, let me see.
We went over this earlier.
Oh yeah, the Paul situation. Yes.
So Jesus says the Gentiles will be saved after 70 by a prophet of God or a man of God. That's when the Gentiles will be called
the Gentiles.
Paul disqualifies. The apostles are disqualified because the commission apparently starts before 70. Who's the only other candidates for the fulfillment of this prophecy? Is the Prophet Muhammad. Who showed the fruit of monotheism other than Islam? Nobody. The Jews couldn't do it. They were too stubborn. They kept killing prophets. Prophet after prophet after prophet, they failed. Christians spread idolatry and Trinitarianism to the Gentiles and lawlessness. With one prophet to the Arabs, the Muslims brought all of the enemy Gentile kingdoms of Israel back to the worship of monotheism and the one true God. And since that day till now, we bless Abraham in our prayers 5 times a day. The same way God says, I will make your generations bless you. In Zephaniah says, in the future, the believers will stand shoulder to shoulder and praise and worship God in a holy tongue. Who stands shoulder to shoulder and praises God in one language in a holy tongue?
Yeah, I know shoulder to shoulder. I know that's how the Muslims pray, but holy tongue
in one holy tongue.
Is it? I mean, how could you prove it's a holy tongue?
That's what it says. The text says in one holy tongue.
So Arabic is considered a holy tongue. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. In Isaiah, God says, because the Jews mocked Isaiah, God says, very well then, I will speak to my people in a foreign tongue. And then he says, disconnected Hebrew letters. Which revelation of God brought revelation in a foreign tongue with disconnected letters in some of the chapters?
That would be the Alif Lam Mim.
The Quran. Alif Lam Mim. And the other chapters that start with disconnected letters. Isaiah tells us what those mean. Like what they imply, yani. That this is God mocking the Jews for mocking his prophets. Because Isaiah was teaching them as if they were kids and children. So they tell him, you think we're children that you're teaching us this way? Some commentaries say that Isaiah was teaching them as if they were children, meaning that he was telling them to repeat after him in a slow manner. Like you teach children the alphabet. Alif, Ba, Ta, A, B, C, like that. The Jews started mocking Isaiah. You think we're kids? God says, very well then, I will speak to my people in a foreign tongue. and then he gives us disconnected Hebrew letters. Qala, ka, sala, sa. That's what the Hebrew says in Isaiah chapter 28, verse 11 and through 13. We have Deuteronomy 18, where God says he will send a prophet like Moses. Why? Because the Jews don't want to hear the voice of God like they heard on Sinai, because the voice of God scared them and terrified them. So he said, okay, I'll send you a prophet where you won't hear my voice, but I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall command you everything that I say to him. Deuteronomy 34, verse 10 says that no prophet like Moses will come to Israel.
Okay,
but God says, I will send you a prophet like Moses. So the prophet like Moses is going to come, God says, from the brethren of Israel. He's speaking to Israel as one person. He says, Navi, the Hebrew says, Navi aqim laka miqarev akhika. In Arabic, Nabiyun uqimu laka min wasati akhika, or min bayni akhika. The pronouns are singular. He's speaking to Israel as one person. If I say, Matthias, I'm going to give $5 to your brother, and does that include you?
No, yeah, that would be to my brother.
So then he says to the one person Israel, Nabiyun uqimu laka min wasati akhika. A prophet I will raise up for you from the midst of your brother, or from your brothers. So then the prophet must be either a Edomite, who are the sons of Keturah, or an Ishmaelite, who are the sons of Hagar. And both of them are Arabs. Why? Because as the book of Jubilees says, that they both intermingled and were known as Arabs and Ishmaelites. The prophet from the brothers of Israel will be an Arab.
Yeah, because Ishmael.
It will be an Arab. Okay. Daniel 2 and Daniel 7 has the fifth kingdom of God coming after the division of Rome and destroying Rome. The Islamic kingdom, by the intervention of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sets up a kingdom. The Arabs, the Muslims, spread the kingdom of God all the way to China. They conquer the world. They conquer the whole earth. And they destroy Rome and they bring it to an end. In Daniel 7, we have a more explicit prophecy that Constantine will oppress the holy people of God for 350 years. 350 years after the birth of Constantine is exactly the year 622. The year 622 is the establishment of the Constitution of Medina, where the kingdom of God was set up. Habakkuk says, Ilo avo metayman veqoddosh meharfaran. God will come from the south. The south of where? Jerusalem, Israel. The south of Jerusalem is Mecca and Arabia. If you put it on a map, the south of Jerusalem is Arabia. God will come from Tayman, from the south. The Holy One, God, from Mount Paran. Mount Paran is connected to Arabia. Then the prophet goes on to describe how the nations will be conquered militarily, and worldwide monotheism and recognition of the true God will be spread. When did God come to Arabia, spread worldwide monotheism, and conquer the nations militarily? Well, none other than the Prophet Muhammad. Songs of Solomon, I know people use it, and a lot of Christian apologists make fun of it and discount it.
The thing is, I heard like basically that Mahmad is also used to describe Ezekiel's wife or something. So
the word, you have to understand how words and prophecy works. We're not saying that the name of that Muhammadim is used as a proper name. We're saying this word is used echoing the name, because the word, you agree names have meanings, yes? For example, Sulaiman, Solomon, comes from the Hebrew word
peace,
Shlomo, which means peace. So can we assume that every time the word Shlomo is used, that's talking about Solomon? No, doesn't make sense. Dawood means kindness or something along those lines. I believe that whenever this word is used, and the biggest example is for the word Yeshua. The word Yeshua means salvation, and it's used several times in the Hebrew Bible. Every time it's used, it's talking about Jesus or a guy called Joshua. No. But we're saying that it cannot be a coincidence that this word is used within the context. What's the context? Songs of Solomon, first of all, what is it? People
was
think
when
it's an erotic
sorry.
it's an erotic book of poetry between a lover and her lover. Yes?
Yeah.
But that's not the Christian and Jewish interpretation. The Christian and Jewish interpretation of the Songs of Songs or the Songs of Solomon, the rabbis say that it's the most biblical of books. Why? Because it's an allegory for the love of God of his bride, Israel. The Christians agree. They say it's an allegory for the love of God to his bride, the church.
Oh,
Never
really?
was
No, that's.
it was never read literally.
I'll just say. I mean, this is what obviously it probably if I ask my priest, I'll get a different answer. But I saw like a David Wood and uh, what's the guy? Apostate prophet? Yeah,
Yeah,
they reacted to it. They were just like, oh, it's just a love story. It doesn't
yeah.
really have any.
David Wood is a moron. He has no idea about biblical exegesis. Check
Dang.
every commentary. Check the church fathers. Check John
Okay.
Chrysostom. Check
Okay.
rabbinical commentaries. Go read. Don't even listen to me. All of them will tell you that this is an allegory for the love of God to Israel. Christians will say allegory for the love of God to the church. Now, Songs of Solomon, chapter 5 is a dream. What does the Hebrew Bible tell us about dreams?
Prophecy.
They're prophetic.
Yeah.
And that's why chapter 5, according to rabbinic commentary, is speaking about the Messiah, a futuristic person to come. So even Jews say that Songs of Solomon 5 is describing the Messiah. They say the Messiah because they're awaiting a futuristic person who they assume is the Messiah. But that's just evidence to show that it's not just an erotic poem. It's a prophecy about a futuristic person to come by the consensus of Christians, Jews, and Muslims. Now, if we go to chapter 5, verse 10, we start getting descriptions. My beloved is white and ruddy, the chiefest amongst 10,000. So this futuristic person to come, handsome, he's white with redness in his skin. Well, that happens to be the exact description that Aisha radiallahu anha, the wife of the Prophet, gives for the Prophet. She says he is white with redness in his skin.
Oh, he's described as like white?
Yeah, the Prophet is described as what?
Okay.
Not pale white, not European white, Arab white. White with redness in his skin.
Okay.
The chiefest amongst 10,000, verse 10 says. Well, interestingly, the Prophet Muhammad, when he conquered Mecca, he had exactly 10,000 companions with him. He was the chiefest amongst 10,000.
So that one I heard, wasn't there something in Jude where there was like a mirage of angels? There was like I'm forgetting. It's something I saw a long time ago. It was like there was a story about in Jude how it was like a mirage of angels. It wouldn't be relating to like angels.
That's fine. But remember, this is about a futuristic person to come.
Right. Okay. I see what you mean.
And this futuristic person is the chiefest amongst 10,000. He's white and he's ruddy. We have to take the context and the descriptions. Then it says his hair is black and wavy as a raven. His hair is black and wavy as a raven. You know what the Hebrew word there for raven?
I think it's like Horeb or something.
Good. The Hebrew is Aleph, Resh, and Bet in the Hebrew alphabet. That's exactly how you see Arab. As a matter of fact, in the book of Kings, the same word is translated as Arabian. As Elijah was seeking help from the Arabians, Ha-Aghavim in the Hebrew. Elijah seeked help from Ha-Aghavim, from the Arabs. The Arabs brought refuge to Elijah. The same exact word is used. His hair is wavy and black as a aghav, as an Arab, which also can be translated as a raven. Okay, so far he's white, ruddy. He's the chiefest amongst 10,000. His hair is black and wavy. Ali, the cousin of the Prophet, in an authentic narration says the Prophet Muhammad's hair was black. It wasn't curly, but it wasn't straight. It was in the. What does that mean?
Yeah, wavy. That would be like.
It was wavy.
Yeah. So
his hair was black and wavy as an Arab. Verse 16 says, what was it? It says, He is altogether lovely or desirable. The name,
Yeah.
the root chet mem dalet, or in Hebrew means desire. The root in Arabic ha mim dal, the same exact correspondence, means praise. There's a connection between praise and desire. Okay? It says, He komam vekollo Muhammadim. He is altogether desired or lovely. His name,
Okay.
which means he is, the Hebrew is Muhammadim. He is desirable.
So you're saying like that root word is just a root word to say like basically someone who's desired.
But the word echoes the name of the prophet.
Yeah,
so that's like, we're not necessarily saying that it's used as a proper name. We're saying that this is too far of a coincidence not to be an echoing of his name, because this form of the word is only used once in the Hebrew Bible, and it's here. The word is only used here once in the Bible. Muhammadim.
Yeah.
The one who is wholly desired, or the one who is, Muhammad in Arabic means the one who is wholly praised. The praised one. The Hebrew says he is the desired one.
Oh yeah, so he's one of his names is Al-Mustafa, right?
The chosen one, Al-Mustafa.
So basically, could you say that he's you guys take him as Messiah as well, or what?
By meaning, yes. By nominally, no. The title is only for Jesus, but the meaning of the title is correct. Somebody who's anointed or chosen for a task. The specific context of Mashiach in the Hebrew Bible is not just anybody who's chosen. It's a specific chosen one who does a very specific task.
Yeah, because I know. Yeah, that's one of the names I know.
And you know what's crazy? Okay. Let me show you something, man. You know how I mentioned Habakkuk earlier?
Yes, yeah. Habakkuk 3:3.
I was looking at Arabic manuscripts of the book of Habakkuk. Okay? I was just reading through them. Okay? And you want to know what I found?
Yeah. What's up?
Let me show you. Here. Look. This is a manuscript of the book of Habakkuk in Arabic. Okay? I'm going to read it for you. From here. You could see it, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
Here. Salat Habakkuk and Nabi. Follow with me with the cursor. This is the prayer of Habakkuk the prophet. Ya Rabb, O Lord, سمعت باسمك وفزعت يا رب. اظهر أعمالك في سنين الحياة. Show us your mighty works in these times. لنعرف في هذه السنين, so that we may know during these years. واذكر رحمتك في أيام الغضب, and show us your mercy during the days of your anger. لأن الله أتانا من التيمم حيث ظهر لنا. Because God came to us from Tayman, from the south. حيث ظهر لنا, where he appeared to us. واستعلن لنا من جبل فاران, and he appeared to us from Mount Paran. I can't read the word. السماء من شعاعها للمحمود. And the heavens were filled with their radiance, with the radiance of the Mahmud,
the praised one.
Who is Al-Mahmud in Arabic, or in our tradition? That's one of the names of the prophet.
Yeah.
So again, here in the Arabic manuscript of Habakkuk, we have an echoing of the name of the prophet in Habakkuk. That the earth, the heavens were filled with the radiance of the praised one, Al-Mahmud, which happens to be the name of the prophet. So that's why I have this here. And then it says, وَامْتَلَأَتِ الْأَرْضُ مِنْ مَحَامِدِهِ. It uses the same exact root. And the earth was filled of his praises. so that the heavens were filled with the radiance of the praised one, and the earth was filled with his praises. Okay, so
Yeah.
and many other things. The point is, it's very clear. There is no doubt about it. In the Torah and the Gospel and the Tanakh, we could stay for another 3-4 hours going through all the prophecies. But
Yeah.
the point
I
is,
think,
it's very clear. It's as clear as the moon.
yeah, I think I think this makes a lot of sense. I like a lot of the stuff about Islam, like the 4 wives and stuff. I think that's pretty cool. You know,
Yeah,
and
I bet you
all
do think
that.
it's cool, man.
Yeah, yeah. But even just like the modesty, I think that's really important that America doesn't have at all, and everything. So yeah, I guess I don't really have any more questions. Like, do
So
I need
what's
to go to
holding
the
you back from
masjid,
becoming a
or
Muslim, man?
I guess I need to go to the masjid, eh?
No,
Like, I guess that's the next step.
you don't need to go to a mosque. If you believe
For
in
the
your
Shahada?
heart, yeah, if you believe in your heart, you can take your Shahada right now, and you'll be a Muslim.
So you don't
You
have
don't
to do it with like an imam or anything?
No, you don't have to do it anymore. It's a formality. Like some people do it, but you don't have to. You become a Muslim, you find your local mosque, and you get acquainted with the because Islam is a communal religion, very much like the good thing about the Oriental churches is that they're like this. Okay,
Yeah.
community strong. The churches are always filled with youth. Always, I have to admit it, the activities. Islam is like that times 10. Okay, it's a very communal religion. Always at the mosque, your prayers. The Prophet said that a man he has to pray his prayers in the mosque. You can pray them at home, but if you can go to the mosque, you have to do it in the mosque. That's the extremity. Why? Because it's a communal religion, right? It's a communal religion. You get together. You're in the environment. Because if I send you to your math professor to spend 3 days with him, you're gonna come out. You're gonna be like Einstein. You're gonna be like math like this, right?
Yeah.
Same way, if you're in an environment of Islam, of angels, of faith, of people that love you for the sake of Allah, for God, then it'll also influence you to be that way as well. So that's why Islam is a very communal religion. So that's why you become Muslim, you take your Shahada here, and you find your local community wherever you live, and it's easy. And remember, Islam is an ocean. You don't jump in the middle and you start swimming. Islam, you have to learn slowly and slowly and slowly, seek knowledge, and don't overwhelm yourself, because Islam was revealed over 23 years. Okay, and if it all had come at one point, at one time, all the rules, and you have to do this and you have to do that, then it would have pushed away a lot of the companions, because a lot of the companions that became Muslim, they were alcoholics, they were people who did all kinds of things. Okay, and if Islam came to them overnight and told them stop drinking, stop this, stop that, then it wouldn't have been easy for them to do, right? So this is the wisdom, right? Islam is always to treat things with wisdom. And regarding your parents, and if you have to tell them or not, no, you don't. You have to be wise.
Oh,
right?
yeah, no. Probably gonna hide for a very long time.
If you'll be oppressed in your household, if you'll be treated differently, you'll be kicked out, then you don't have to be a superhero. You don't have to, Batman. You hide it until until circumstances are better, until maybe you could support yourself if you don't already, and until you think the time is right, and maybe you'll never think the time is right. Maybe you'll always hide it from them. But that's not good, because people who become Muslim usually want their parents to go to paradise. They want their parents to also be upon what they're upon, so they also give dawah to their parents. But Islam is a religion of ease. Allah, He makes it easy for us. Right? Islam is not here to burden our life. Islam is here to ease our life and to guide us through life. Okay, so everything is easy, inshallah. So if nothing else is holding you back, then it's time, man. You don't push it back, you don't hold it back, you don't say tomorrow or after tomorrow. Once the truth comes, it comes, and you submit and you do it. So, do you want to take your Shahada today?
Yeah, there's no other questions. It's just like, it's like, and it's just like, I can't even say like I'll take it later, because what if I don't get the opportunity? What if I like never wake up or something, or like I die in the next month?
I love how you think, man. All right, let's do it, man. And obviously, man, we've been here for I think an hour and a half, 2 hours, and even after this, no, don't worry. Even after this, I'll get your contact, to get my Discord, Instagram, whatever number, and I'll stay in touch with you. Any questions you have, you want to hop on a personal call, you want to ask a question, something comes up, anything you need, I'm here for you, and the whole community is here for you. They'll accept you and take you with open arms. You're not too far away from us. You're Ethiopian. You're not a white American guy. And gosh, and the Ethiopians were the first people to help the Muslims when they were being persecuted in Mecca. And Najashi was
Yeah,
the one who
Najashi.
took the Muslims in, and he became a Muslim before he died. Okay, so Ethiopians and Islam is not far away from you. Your family, some of your family is Muslim. You live with
Yeah, that's
Muslims in
true.
Ethiopia, right? So East Africa has known Islam for centuries. The oldest mosque is in East Africa. It's in Somalia. Okay, so it's not far away from home either. So do you want to do the Arabic first or the English first?
I think I know the Arabic. Correct me if I'm saying it. Let me see if I know it.
All right, let's hear it, man.
Ashhadu la ilaha illallah, and then the second part is Ashhadu Muhammad Rasulullah.
Allahu Akbar. Takbir in the chat, man. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And obviously, you know in English, so
Yeah, obviously
even,
God.
you know,
There's no
even
about God but God, and then Muhammad is the messenger
why
of
is
God.
my thing ringing?
Dang, bro, it must be the Jinn or something.
Man, oh man, guy, he already knew the Shahada. That's amazing, man. I'm so happy for you, bro.
Yeah.
My heart feels so much joy, and you know I say this because, man, you were so sincere from the beginning, and you listened and you heard me out, and you know you had questions. It means you've been thinking. You know,
I feel like people, they don't have a good impression. Like for me, I mean, I always knew Muslims. I had a good impression. It's just a difference of faith. That's all it was. It's not like they're whatever weird stuff. You know, David Wood is pushing. He's like the biggest disrespectful guy, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like really, it's too disrespectful. Like he
But
pushes it too far.
listen. Now you're gonna have way better role models, and trust me, man. Islam, when it you know, there's a saying from Umar radiallahu anhu, the second caliph, one of the companions of the Prophet. He said that we are a people who were disgraced and we were honored by Islam. And if we take anything other than Islam, a way of life, then Allah will take away this honor from us and dishonor us and disgrace us again. So this is exactly what Islam honors: the individual. It takes him from the darkness into the light. It affirms the truthfulness of the prophets and the messengers and the worship of God alone, strict and true monotheism, singling him out in worship. You don't pray to dead people. You don't pray to saints. You don't say, Holy Justin Martyr, pray for me. You don't pray to anybody. You pray to God alone. And there's nothing greater that a human being can do, greater than recognizing that there is only one worthy of worship. There's nothing greater than this. You could do the million good deeds. They all mean nothing if you are a polytheist or an idolater.
So the Shias, they do that, right? Like they'll worship Ali, but they're like they're like Kafirs, right, or something.
Yeah. So
or no.
Yeah. Of course they are. Anybody who worships other than God and gives acts of worship to other than God, he is a disbeliever. There's no question about this. These people are a very small, tiny minority.
Because I searched that up too. It's like 95% is Sunni, and then 5% is Shia or something. Yeah.
And that the Prophet already said this. He said the Muslims will split up into sects just like the Christians and the Jews before them did. And he asked them, and he told them that there's only one saved sect after the Muslims will split into sects. The prophets, the companions asked him, Ya Rasulullah, O Prophet of Allah, or O Messenger of Allah, and who is that saved sect? What is that saved sect? Allah, or the Prophet says, those who are what I am upon and what my companions are upon. So we Sunnis, we are what the Prophet is upon and what his righteous companions are upon. Okay, this is Islam. We get our Islam from the righteous predecessors, from the early generations. Okay, those who were with the Prophet and who succeeded them. And that's it. Yeah, bro. You know, it's very happy to see, brother. You've been sincere. It's a prophetic tradition to, after somebody becomes Muslim, that they take a shower. Just as they cleanse their soul and spirit, it's good to cleanse the body as well, so you become washed away. God has forgiven all your sins today, and you are like a newborn baby, except for if you have any debts, if you owe people money, of course, you're still responsible to pay them back. But other than that, you're like a newborn baby, brother. I'm going to end the stream now. So thank you for coming, everybody. I'm going to drop you now, but hey, message me on Gmail or on my Discord. Yalla, bro. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for coming.